Today's recipe is Khameeri Puri filled with some filling. Khameer is basically yeast. So for this recipe I've got 350 grams of all-purpose flour, which is around 2¼ cups of flour. Here I've got 2 teaspoons active dry yeast, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon vegetable cooking oil, and half a teaspoon of salt. So first what I'll do is I'll prepare this dough, and after preparing this dough I'll keep it for rising, and then we will go on making the filling for this recipe. So let's start preparing the dough. To activate this yeast, I will be using 1 cup of lukewarm water. Make sure the water is around 100 degrees to 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius to 43 degrees Celsius. So the water should not be hotter than this temperature, otherwise your yeast will not survive the temperature. So now I'll just add some sugar, add active dry yeast, give it a good stir. Now what I'll do is I'll let this yeast rest for at least 10 minutes till it's activated before adding it to my dough. Yeast has activated. Now I'll add this to my all-purpose flour. To the all-purpose flour add in salt, give it a good stir, add the vegetable oil too. Now add activated dry yeast, and just you can use a wooden spoon or any type of spoon and start mixing the dough. I'll transfer this to my board and knead it further. Remember to keep your hands clean. With clean hands, continue kneading the dough. After kneading it for a good 10 minutes, the dough has come together. So initially the dough is sticky, but you have to continuously knead it to work the gluten in this dough. And once that is done, then you can keep it for resting. Please do not add extra flour also while you're kneading it. It eventually all comes together. Now what I'll do is I will be placing this dough in my bowl, and I will let this sit for at least 1 hour or till this doubles in size. So I will cover it and I'll let it rise. For Khameeri Puri filling, here I've got 40 grams of chopped onions. This is 1 small onion. Here I've got 150 grams of shredded carrot, and this is only 1 medium-sized carrot. Here I've got 40 grams of coleslaw. You can use 40 to 50 grams. So basically it's shredded cabbage mixed with a little carrot. Now if you don't have coleslaw, you can just use cabbage, around 40 to 50 grams. Here I have used imitation crab meat. It's frozen imitation crab meat, and this crab meat is obviously pre-cooked. It's imitation, so it's pre-cooked, so I've just shredded it, and this is 150 grams. Here I've got 1/4 cup of cilantro leaves, 3 cloves of garlic. I've just chopped them finely, 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. This is an option. I've got some salt as per taste, 20 grams of butter, and we will be using some freshly crushed peppercorns. So let's start preparing the filling for this recipe. To a warm pan add butter, wait for it to melt. To melted butter add chopped garlic, saute it for around less than a minute. Now you don't need to cook these vegetables, you don't need to overcook it, because carrots you can eat it as raw, you can eat cabbage as raw, as well as the imitation crab. It's already pre-cooked, so you can eat that, as well as onions. But I'm just cooking it for a short time, just because I'm adding some garlic to it. After a minute, add onions and saute this for about 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, keeping an eye that the garlic shouldn't burn. You don't need to overcook these onions. Add salt to taste. At this point of time, just add in your coleslaw, known as shredded cabbage. Remember to keep your flame on low to medium. Saute the cabbage along with the onions for again less than a minute. Add shredded cabbage. Now at this point of time, if you want to add sesame oil, you can add. It's a complete option. Here I'm just adding a teaspoon of sesame oil. What sesame oil does, it adds flavor. Now I'll add in the chili flakes. So add in crushed peppercorns. Saute this. What I'll do is I'll turn my flame off. I've closed my stove. At this point of time, I'll just add in my shredded cilantro leaves. Give it a good stir. I'll also add in my shredded imitation crab and give it a quick stir. Now at this point of time, please taste for the salt in this recipe. After mixing this whole thing well, let it cool down and we'll use this as a filling for our Khameeri Puri. I placed the prepared filling here in this bowl and I'm letting it cool down. In the meanwhile, this dough has risen. You can see how beautifully it's risen. And now I'll just take it out. Place this dough on your mat. Remember to wash your hands, keep them clean while you're working with this dough. Now what I'll do is I will divide this dough into equal portions. So I've shaped 10 dough balls. Now what I'll do is I'll use one at a time and the others I'll just cover it with the cling film. Now I'll just take a little oil. I'll use vegetable oil I'm using. I'll just put it here and start rolling this dough. This is the cool filling. Remember, your filling should be cool. Don't put hot filling in this. And I'm using around 1.5 tablespoons. It depends on how big or small your circle of your dough is, and then just gather it around. Gather it like this. And you can just press it if you want with your hands. And don't roll it out too much. You don't need to roll it thin. You can just do it with your hands as well. So this is ready to fry. I'm keeping a little dough aside for me to test if my oil is ready for frying these Khameeri Puri. So I'll just keep it aside and when I need it, I'll use it. So I've made around exactly 10 Khameeri Puris and I used every bit of my filling for this recipe. Now I will be deep frying these in oil. So let's start deep frying. I've added oil to my pan and I've let it warm up, and now we'll check if this oil is ready for frying these Khameeri Puri. So what I've got here is a small bit of my dough. I'm going to just dip it in and wait to see if there are any bubbles around this dough. If there are bubbles around the dough, this indicates, now you can see there are bubbles around this dough, this indicates my oil is ready for frying these Khameeri Puri. The temperature might be around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I will be doing is I will be frying this Khameeri Puri bottom side down. Now we will wait for these puris to fry till they are a bit golden brown from the bottom. Once they're golden brown from the bottom, then I will flip it over. And if you think the oil is too hot for this puri while you're frying it, please remember to decrease the temperature of your oil. If not, you can just keep it as it is. And my flame is currently on medium, and if you have a gas, if you have a cooking range with gas mark, my gas mark is currently 5. Now you can see the puris have browned around the edges. At this time, I will just turn it around. What you need to do is just press it with your spatula to flatten it a bit, because we want this dough to cook well. Just use the back of your spatula and press it a bit down. Now if you don't want to use imitation crab meat, you can skip it. You can also add shredded chicken if you want. If you want, you can add minced meat. It's up to you. And if you just want it pure vegetarian, then you don't need to add any of the meat to this recipe. So I'm just like pressing it so that it's cooked well. You just need to flatten this a bit, and you can see it's not cooked here, so we're going to cook it till it turns golden brown like it's here. Let's check if the bottom of the puris are fried. This looks a bit done. This looks done as well. And this looks done too. Now I'll remove it and on a kitchen towel, and I'll keep it aside and continue frying the remaining of my Khameeri puris. Now if you don't want to deep fry this Khameeri puri, you can bake it as well. This is the baked Khameeri puri, while this is the fried Khameeri puri. Now I'll cut into this Khameeri puri. Just take a kitchen scissors. After cutting into the Khameeri puri, you can see how well it's fried as well as it's baked amazingly. Fried and baked Khameeri puri is ready to serve. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please click on the bell icon for notification of my latest videos. And thank you for watching. Enjoy!